Welcome to the Big Dawg Crypto Podcast. This is your number one crypto podcast to hear directly from the movers and shakers, innovators, and disruptors in the cryptocurrency industry. Follow on Twitter for updates and to communicate directly at Woof Big Dawg. That's at Woof Big DAWG. Now, here is your host, the one and only Big Dawg Crypto.
Digitalbits is a protocol layer blockchain focused on supporting consumer digital assets. This is inclusive of assets such as loyalty and reward points, branded NFTs, fan tokens, and notably branded stablecoins. Find Digitalbits on Twitter at DigitalBitsORG. Digitalbits, making the future happen today. And welcome to the newest episode of the Big Dawg Crypto Podcast. I'm your host, Big Dawg Crypto, and we have Lennix Lai from OKEx Exchange. Lennix, how are you doing today?
It is just another day in crypto. It's very busy, very fun. There are lots of exciting things and lots of challenge too.
So I'm going to guess it's been a long day for you too.
Yeah, a long week already.
How many hours of sleep would you say you get a night?
I would say for the last 3 to 4 years since the beginnings of OKEx, I slept on average 5 hours or less, and we have to break in different time zone, and it's physically exhausting but rewarding.
But it's good, yeah, no doubt. So let me ask you. So looking at your history now, you've been in not just crypto for a while, but you have a long history in the financial industry. How did you first get into finance? Like, when did you first do that? Where did you start?
I'm born and raised in Hong Kong, and Hong Kong is a financial center, obviously, in Asia. So practically everyone who graduated would be naturally go to the finance route. And obviously you want to be the investment banker, research analyst, and for equity markets, stock markets, it's just so natural. It's just, I think 1/3 of their actual full-time employment in Hong Kong might be kind of related to finance already. So very natural for all the Hong Kong local to be in finance.
Well, so going from finance to crypto, do you remember? And I'm always interested because this to me is, the first time that we all found out about crypto. Do you remember where you were, what you were doing when you were like, okay, what is this crypto thing, and started learning about it?
Yeah, at the beginning, I've been working in Korea as OKEx from the very first day, like 4 years ago. As a matter of fact, I have a lot of doubts. Because when we learn finance, we learn a lot of different kind of valuation model and economical model, but none of them would be applicable to Bitcoin. So it looked like just another scam to me and to other legacy financial guy like me. But I think I love the technological aspect of blockchain, because before I understand Bitcoin, in the equity market, in the financial market, we talk about, hey, how about we settle financial transaction with blockchain? That would save us a lot of cost. So that's why I come across with the concept of blockchain first. Then I gradually understand that one of the greatest applications of blockchain is actually Bitcoin. And I starting to learn how to appreciate the creation of Bitcoin, how beautiful of the mechanism is. So that's why we just all the other ordinary guy we start attracting by Bitcoin and crypto, then getting really involved, and we just love it for this change of career. It might look really risky, because you're spending your career on look like a scam project. Bitcoin back in time, or Ethereum look really scam to us. What a universal open source computer, it doesn't really work. So but yeah, that's how it is. How a very exciting trip.
So that's something you bring up when we talk about risk. I had this for a later question, but let me ask you this now. Risk management. When you see new traders getting into the space, and the people coming in now, right? We're starting to see more and more new people. What would you recommend for them if they said, "Hey, look, how do I handle risk management?" How would you describe that in the best way for a new trader?
Yeah, I think as a classic financial practitioner, we worry about risk all the time. So risk means the downside risk. So you always need to think about. So one of the actually a not very correct way for a trader to think is, hey, I place every trade right. That is the money I want to make. But normally you're making a wrong decision. So the very first thing you need to think about is, when I place the trade, how much risk that I would like to take?
Sure.
How much? So you need to understand a comfortable level of downside risk they're going to take. Then you would place the trade, and you need to take a look of the historical volatility of each asset class. I mean, each crypto as well. So obviously, you need to suffer. For example, in crypto market, you need to suffer maybe 5% of your portfolio risk in a relatively short period of time. Entire portfolio risk in maybe few days or few weeks. So you need to have a psychological preparation of this first. Then you need to that's the very first thing you need to do. Then you need to know the beauty of diversification. So it's like due to the fact that crypto has a lot of different kind of really ambitious, innovative projects, but at the same time there are lots of scam or some of the project that doesn't really deliver anything. So you need to learn the beauty of that diversification. Build your portfolio. Don't put everything. Don't gamble. Don't bet on anything. Concentrate.
I agree with that. I think part of the challenge we see in the space, because I've done a lot of time just analyzing stuff, as a lot of us have, and I think people do get to where, okay, they're having some good trades and they just put everything on something, right? And it's like, oh no, what now? You see that a lot.
Yeah, correct. So and other thing is there is a many way to acquire crypto other than just simply buy it, right? So to acquire new crypto, in crypto that's a very unique. On stock market, the only way that you can acquire stock is just basically buy your stock with your real money, with your US dollar, right? But in crypto, there's a lot of innovative way, very frontier way to acquire new crypto or newly minted crypto or NFT. For example, farming, where by providing liquidity to a certain protocol, you're actually acquiring new token by a different kind of a mechanism, like trade mining mechanism. So different way for contribution of your capital, contribution to your community, contribution to your trading volume. You will indirectly acquire or accumulate certain portion of crypto rather than just spend your money to buy it. So I think I would prefer to put majority of your crypto assets in a relatively stable token or major token like Bitcoin, Ethereum. Then starting to look for promising projects. Before you make a decision to buy it, you need to do your own research. But at the same time, find a different way to acquire it rather than just simply buy it from exchange or DEX. You can contribute. You can contribute liquidity to farm it. You can trade. There's different kind of way. Learn those kind of way to acquire your token and gradually accumulate it. Don't easily add leverage.
Right. Yeah. No, that's good advice. I mean, that's one of the things in the space. People are always wondering, how can I improve on what I'm doing? But you just brought up something about NFTs, and that was another thing I want to ask you. Obviously, NFTs all over the place. What do you personally see as not just the benefit, right? Because I think we see a lot of the applications coming out, but when you look at NFTs a year or 2 years down the road, kind of just a broad question, but what would you like to see the NFT space do?
Yeah, I think I would like to see NFT will be fundamentally changing some of the operating business model of traditional industry. For example, like right now, the music industry, the distribution model of the licensing music for the creator. And also right now we're talking about GameFi, how we make games, how we distribute games, how we interact directly with gamers, with different tokenomics, that we can see some of the very promising potential between the relationship of game developer studio with the gamer because of the existence of NFT, because of the NFT, so that all of the in-game token or in-game currency or in-game effort or in-game character could be mined, could be earned, could be sold in other crypto assets. So we are seeing already changing, but I think it need to be bigger. It be deeply involved in some of the traditional industries. Right now, we can see a lot of NFT involved in digital art. I would say digital art, different kind of digital collectibles. But that is not enough. That's not enough because that's rather niche market. And then if you want the NFT market that's actually sustainable, you need to be deep. You need to be deeply engaged and involved in the traditional industry, like game.
That's it. But that's interesting that you bring up music, because I have a friend of mine that is not like crypto too much, and he's in a band. He's like, well, I don't understand how it. I said, look, I said, you're in a band. I said, when you release something, right, and the download comes up, you're able to where every cent goes, right? It can go, whether it's going to publishing or going to band members or whatever. And to me, that is the true benefit, right? Of it. That's such a real application. So music and gaming, yeah, absolutely. You're spot on. I agree with you on that. You know,
correct. For the creator market, like the music or the artwork or even game studio, we are actually the middleman. And all kind of distributor, publisher own too much power. I would think too much power. They control the distribution, the revenue, the majority part of the revenue, and the cost that involved. So the true creator and the fans actually pay a lot, but only a tiny portion will be kind of like subsequently owned to creators. So I think NFT and crypto might be potentially remove or kind of like downsize the power of the middleman or those kind of property. That might be very important to creator.
I just my friend watches this podcast and he's gonna be watching. That's what I've been trying to say. Yeah, I mean, it's like, especially for a musician and an artist, I don't see how you can't love NFTs, because that's really going to give you the power. And as we know, transparency. Blockchain provides that transparency. So I wish more people understood that. But yeah, I'm with you on that.
It was.
Yeah, no, it's important. So speaking of that, so in the news right now, you look at the situation in China and you look at crypto. Now, I know I've been in the space for 4 years. I'm sure you've been in longer than I have. I remember 2015, we had, where there was the FUD coming out, having had friends that were there that, are able to do it. What are your thoughts about when people are watching this now? Because there are a lot of new people that have watched the podcast that are learning about this. And one guy in particular messaged me. He's been in for 2 weeks. Okay. And he's like, oh my God, they're banning. I said, hold on. I said, this happens again and again and again. What are your thoughts, or how could you share where are things realistically right now in regard to that?
Realistically, I don't think it doesn't really add lots of information. So the rule in China is actually been fixed and confirmed since 2017, which is actually saying that you can Bitcoin is kind of like a digital access to them, right? So you're not allowed it right now. You're not allowed to operate a platform service, for example, like an exchange, or you cannot be an exchange operators in China. And for example, you're not allowed to mine Bitcoin or actually operate, precisely speaking, operate a mining operation in China. As an institutional level, so they will not encourage anyone to mine Bitcoin because of the environmental reason as well. So it doesn't. So the new policy or the China ban crypto Bitcoin, it doesn't really add a lot of information. It just simply echo their stance for like 2 or 3 years ago. And most of the exchange operator that previously based in China, that I think they're already out. They already have operating offshore, operating outside China. They have team, their management are all right now outside China. Okay. I don't think it add a lot of information. They just, I think it serve as a risk reminder from the Chinese government that Chinese bank and payment service provider will not support any crypto-related transaction. And in order to trade crypto, you're not protected by the law. So beware and trade at your own risk. Something like that.
Yeah, just something to watch out for. But one thing about this industry is it's constantly changing, and it's like give it a day, right? And wherever we are could change. No question.
Yeah.
So let me do another thing. So having worked with different projects over the years and advised projects and talked to teams, anytime you have, now of course you're with a major exchange, and you have a project, and I feel like, because before this I said, is anything off limits? You said no. You said, ask me anything. You said it's not a problem. So,
no problem.
Yeah. So let me ask. So when you see a project, whatever one it may be, and they get really active on the Twitter feed for an exchange, like what do projects think about that? Because I'll say from a community side, right? They see an exchange, they want to be on, and they start, making all kind of comments. List us. How does the exchange? Because I think this was helpful, right, for them to know. How do they look at that when they see very active communities? Sometimes ones that are just more active than others. I mean, y'all look at your Twitter feed, of course, I'm sure. What exchange think about stuff like that?
Twitter feed or community is obviously one of the important metrics, but it's not the only matrix. I think we care a lot about what tokens actually delivering. What is their promise? What do they want to do? What kind of service or value that would they want to provide and offer to the crypto community? And most importantly, you cannot be just concept. We already also over this stage already. You need to have a working prototype, at least a product. If, for example, if you want to, for example, working a defined project, you need to have a prototype to show us the tokenomics and your product exactly. If you're working for GameFi, you want to list on OKEx, you need to explain your concept and working prototype, which is a game, to us as well, because we want our OKEx user to invest on something that have real thing. They have a real team, because it's really easy, right? You have a concept, you raise fund, but even you got a new concept, you got millions of dollars got raised, you don't need to do anything anymore. You don't need to spend your time and effort to making real product and real deal and real thing. So one of the very important metrics is whether now you have a working prototype and product that already have a really solid roadmap. They're going to be deliver something in the foreseeable futures. So community and it's just one of the metrics. Community is just basically to us an implication that you really respect. You're constantly engaging and communicate your progress, your vision, your dream, your product with the community. That's why the community engagement will be real and engaging. That's very important measure, because you're going to be keeping a very constant dialogue with your early adopter and investor and user. That's very important as well, because token, you're as a token holder, you're not a shareholder. You're part of the ecosystem. You're part of the user. You want to use that particular product. You want to debug with the developers. You want to provide. You want to order and suggest new features and suggestion directly to the developers and product owners. So that is very important. That to the community. That's what the community means. That's part of the matrix. And then other thing would be we'll consider trading volume as well. If you already list on other exchanges, we will take a look of the liquidity, because OKEx normally is exchange with different kind of products. Once we list your spot, we will potentially list derivative as well. But in order to be qualified, that's your token to have derivative, you need to have a sufficient liquidity on the spot market. So that's why we would consider that as well. So we have a different matrix. Obviously, regulatory reason is one of the consideration as well. Different kind of matrix. Then we calculate a really scientific score line. Then you potentially become a candidate to be less on OKEx.
Well, you remember back in was it 2017? You had all these projects that had a white paper, they had a website. That was it. And so you went back and looked at them, I'm going to say some delivered, but you had so many that didn't. And I think in general, in the space, we get great concepts sometimes, but I say, with any team, look at what they do, what they deliver, right? Sometimes it might be delay here or there, but overall, are they getting out what they're supposed to do? And the interesting thing about our space is that it's all there on Twitter. It's all there. You can research and find out what's going on. But I agree with you on that. And I think teams in general, and I always tell them, you need to analyze where we are in the space, but also what you're going to put out there. Are you able to get it out, right? Are you able to build? And that's when you're going to see the cryptos that actually come out on top, right? Years down the road, and the ones that were just a website. So it's interesting. But no, I agree with you on that. That's a trip.
Yeah. Just because that's why crypto is going so big, because there's a real product, real value, and real talent that keep constantly contributing to this space. And that's why crypto valuation, that everything is logical and make perfect sense.
Well, so speaking of valuation, I would ask you this: do you think at any point Ethereum flips Bitcoin? I mean, even for a day? I always wonder. It's interesting because I never really thought that was possible, and you're hearing that a little bit more and more. Personally, I don't know, but do you think at any point it flips it? And I'm not saying forever, because Bitcoin's obviously been, the king. But do you think at any point you could see Ethereum flipping Bitcoin even momentarily?
I would. If the Bitcoin development is remain constant, so I see a lot of very interesting projects trying to add different kind of elements on Bitcoin, for example, like smart contract on Bitcoin. But I think Bitcoin will remain one of the if Bitcoin will be sufficiently remain its really own unique advantage, which is transaction, which is serve as a digital gold, a storage of value, and very importantly, remain its decentralizations. I think Bitcoin will be ever very important asset in this space, but Bitcoin might not be as dominant as before. I'm not sure whether it would be Ethereum or all the other, but I think very soon the non-Bitcoin valuation will be flipping Bitcoin. Okay. So if you think about investor perspective, I would remain my portion of Bitcoin, but at the same time, I would really actively to construct my portfolio, my crypto portfolio, and allocate to non-Bitcoin as soon as possible. I would say you're a perfect balance of the portfolio right now for crypto asset. At least maybe half of them are Bitcoin and Ethereum, but half of them you need to take a look at the other really promising crypto assets.
Sure, that sounds like a good strategy. And when you look at the mixing and matching them, do you see Bitcoin hitting $1 million at some point? Because this is thrown out a lot, right? And so whether we say 4 years or 8 years, do you personally see Bitcoin hitting $1 million?
It's too long, but I can foresee that it will be hitting 10 with 100K very soon. It really depends on the a lot of people asking me, well, when will we get to 100K in the reasonable futures? Personally, I think it really depends on the monetary supply in US and the plan. So right now the plan is already out, the tapering is already out. So it's good news. It means that we have a lot of time to manage the expectation. So the risk on the money supply uncertainty on Bitcoin has already been gone. So you can see the market is getting better. So I would see maybe in 6 months' time we can see 100K Bitcoin.
I think that makes sense. That absolutely makes sense. Okay, well, a couple of personal questions, and just always like to know when you're working in the background, do you have on music? Do you have podcasts? Do you have TV? Do you have silence? Like, do you have a preference, or what do you normally have on in the background when you're working?
I normally work in a multitask. So normally I have a podcast on crypto on order, because we are still learning at this point of time. We are still learning new stuff, so we need to keep learning, but at the same time working on multiple projects at the same time. Well, we don't have a lot of time to, so right now it's still in my office. It's still late, but I think we don't have time to have music.
And then as far as a favorite food, if you have your choice or your couple of favorite foods, what do you prefer to eat? Grabbing lunch, grabbing dinner, what do you like?
Yeah, I want spicy food. I don't know why, but I love anything spicy, and maybe we need some kick in crypto while working in crypto.
So yeah. Well, look, brother, I appreciate you taking the time. Let me ask you, where do people the best way if they want to get in touch with you, they want to follow you, Twitter? What do you prefer as far as best way to follow you?
Yeah, they can directly. I have a pretty good Twitter's handling, so they can directly follow me on Twitter and DM me. I will answer the question personally. They can suggest any business proposal, listing request, and any feedback to our products and any question that are really welcome.
Okay, Linus, I appreciate it. Look, thanks for taking the time. I know you had a long day, and it means a lot that you made the time to come on the podcast. So I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. So happy. I appreciate the time.
I appreciate it. Well, look, this has been the latest episode of the Big Dawg Crypto Podcast, and I want to thank Lennox for coming on. Thank you so much. Thank you, my friend. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
You've been listening to the Big Dawg Crypto Podcast. Follow on Twitter at WoofBigDawg. Woof, big DAWG. And run faster than the competition. Woof, woof.